Hi everybody, this is Ovaela, and we're going to do the Hullbreaker Isle today. This dungeon just came out with the 2.3 patch, and I have to admit I didn't read the patch notes, so I knew nothing about this dungeon. So you get to go with me on my very first time. And we went in as 2 black mages and a paladin as a group, and then we picked up a scholar who happened to have done this a few times, so that was helpful, although we realized later that as a healer you don't get to pay too much attention to detail always, so it's still trial and error, and there ends up being a lot of error. Here you can either go forward or you can go off to the left, and our tank decides to go off to the left just to be cautious. We don't know how hard the mobs are going to be, but they ended up being pretty easy at our eye level. But once we started fighting here, this is one thing you need to pay attention to, it's important, is the scholar told us to kill the bee first, because the bee does the final sting just like in the Temple of Karn. So here I think there's only 1 bee, but farther down the trail I think you'll encounter 2 at the same time along with another mob. So it's just sort of random, I think. But even after we focused on the bee, it went down pretty quickly, so it wasn't an issue. They're not difficult at all. As we proceed down the path, we encounter a new obstacle, and that is these big traps. They look like big animal traps, and I guess they're all along the path. And the scholar remembers after the tank goes into one that you have to avoid those. So we really didn't even notice that they were on the trail, and it seemed at first that the tank just kind of walked into it. But after watching the playback, I saw that the tank went around it and still got sucked in. So you can't just walk around these traps, you have to walk way around the traps, or you're going to get sucked in, just like I do here. So I thought I could avoid it, and I got sucked in. And I think the tank does it one more time. You get a debuff on you, the scholar's got to take it off, reapply stone skin, not that big of a deal. But just, you can avoid those. And then here's the bridge leading up to the first boss. I did skip a lot of the mobs. They were all the same after that. Just remember to burn down the bees first. But this first boss did not go well at all. We asked the scholar what to do here, and all the scholar said was take the ads out quickly. We didn't know why, but just take the boss out and take the ads out. So that's what we tried to do. It doesn't work out. So just watch. As soon as we get in here, I see these words on the tree, and it has bananas on them. And so I knew that they had to come into this dungeon somewhere, but we had no idea what to do here. But we do start to take the ads out here, and as you can see, they go out so quickly. They're so easy. It's not an issue at all. And then this big ape starts beating on his chest, and every time he does that, you get another stack on you, and the more stacks you have, the harder it is for the scholar to heal you. So it did get really crazy. It was very hard to keep us all alive. And still, at this point, we're not doing anything with the bananas. You're able to burn him down pretty quickly, but it's so difficult to stay alive. And I think the tank realized here that it had something to do with the bananas, so he starts to go up and take them all off the tree. The problem was he took them all off all the trees. And so then he's fine for a minute. He starts to get angry again, and now we have nothing to feed him. And the whole time I had no idea. I thought that the ape was just going around eating the bananas off his trees all by himself. I really wasn't even paying attention that the tank took them off. So now he's gonna get really pissed off, but this was so funny. There's more ads. And we're dying. Dirt nap. So we tried again, and this time it goes much smoother. The scholar remembered that in order to get the stacks off, you feed the ape a banana one at a time. And when you feed him a banana, the stacks fall off. So the scholar decides that he's going to feed the ape himself, and he's going to do it on stacks of 5. And the thing here with the ads, I found out later, is if they are still alive when he needs to be fed, they will go eat the banana. And then he's still angry and keeps putting stacks on you. So it's important that when you feed the ape, you have to have those ads gone. But they're so easy to get rid of. It shouldn't be an issue. This next part here, the only important thing to know is that these treasure chests need to be opened. 2 out of the 3 come alive, and you have to kill them to get the stone tablets that drop. And that's what opens up the door at the end. Some people like to skip treasure chests, so they might not have known that, but our scholar told us. But our tank happens to be a glowy horse, so we wouldn't have skipped them anyway. And the tank's just checking out the view. And this is the door that you have to use the stone tablets to open. This next part is just more of the same, just mobs and chests that you need to open. This little guy right here, after you kill him, there's going to be ads that spawn. So you have to take those out. They're not difficult or anything, but the tank didn't see them, so they attacked the healer, but it still wasn't that big of a deal. Now we're gonna just skip to the second boss. The big worm. He looks familiar, doesn't he? This one was a lot harder than it needed to be, but we didn't find that till later after we read how to do this dungeon. He seemed really easy at first to burn down. He was going down rather quickly. But these bubbles appear and they look like the bubbles in Brave Blocks. And I get trapped in one and I try to target on it and notice that there's no way to get out of it like there is in Brave Blocks. If you get trapped in one of the bubbles, you stay in it for about 10 seconds. It does very little damage to you. Here there are 6 of them, and that means he's going to go underground here in a minute. And now the water spout will come out, and then a whirlpool. And we get sucked into the whirlpool and realize that does a lot of damage. So we're going to try to stay away from the middle for when that happens again. Now there's 4 bubbles again. So he's going to go under. And it's the same pattern. Now what you're really supposed to do is when he goes under and the water spout comes out, you're actually supposed to run for a bubble and get inside, because it lifts you up off of the whirlpool and keeps you safe, because it keeps you there for 10 seconds. And then it just drops you for very little damage and you just repeat until he's dead. But not knowing that, it was very difficult. And I think we died a few times. So I died at the end, but they were able to finish him off. This part is heading to the third boss. This is amazing right here. That fall that you have to do is amazing. And then you have to be healed when you get done. But we're gonna skip this part. This is just more mobs. Nothing special about these at all. Just follow the trail. And here the black mages are gonna both double flare. I put this in here because I love it. And on to the last boss. This, again, we had no idea what to do. She kind of said to stay on the platform together. And when the water spouts came out, we could travel on those, but we had to kill the arm and the tentacle. Altogether, there's 10. I didn't know that at the time. There's so much going on. They're pretty easy to take out, but you get slapped around, interrupted. If you get too close to the water spouts, you're flying to the next platform. So there's really a lot going on. And right here, the tank has this green thing on him. That is going to produce a tornado, and you have to jump to a different platform, because when that goes off, you'll take a lot of damage. And so you're supposed to travel to another platform. It falls off, you jump back. And the thing to keep in mind here is that if you get too close to a water spout, you're going to travel to another platform. And they call these jet streams. And then there's this AoE with the oil. You can, that is like a debuff. You can get off by traveling to another platform. So it gets really kind of crazy because you're trying to burn them down and get rid of this green thing on you. You get interrupted. So it's not as easy as it seems when you're really in it. And that green thing is called an indicator light. And that's, like I said, the tornado will appear, you travel to a platform. The other AoE, those are the ink dots, they call it. They can be removed by traveling on the jet stream. It's important to stay together because the fewer people actually on a platform, the more damage the tentacles do to the ones that are left on the platform. So if you have to leave it, try to get back as quickly as possible. It does less damage to everybody. And when you do travel on the jet stream, there's this debuff called the Ifrit Extreme debuff, where your maximum health goes down and the damage you take goes up. So don't try to just get too close to one, because that could happen. It's really not that big of a deal. I didn't even notice it. I read about it after. And then another thing is the boss will randomly pick a player and hurl them to another platform, and that's quite annoying. And again, I skipped the part where we all died. We had to start this one over again. So this is our second time through. It got easier the second time though, when we all understood how to do it. I couldn't quite catch the jet stream. And I guess because there was so much going on and you're traveling back and forth to all these platforms, I didn't really understand just how many tentacles there were. So the black mage asked us to limit break the last tentacle. And I think I did the limit break on the 9th. But all in all, we had a great time. The scholar was great. I'm very patient. We had a lot of fun together. I think we're heading to the last platform now. There's a limit break, and it was the 9th one. And there's the hurl. That was awesome. That's when we were almost done. And that's it. And I was thinking the whole time that next we were going to have to fight that big guy. So I was happy to find out that it was over. But thanks for visiting Ovaela's place. Come back and see me again. Don't forget to like and subscribe.